Hello, history fans. Welcome back to 5 Point Historian. When we watch movies about the Middle Ages, being a knight looks amazing. We see them winning tournaments, saving princesses, and eating giant feasts. But have you ever wondered what a knight actually did on a normal Tuesday? The truth is, their life was not a fairy tale. It was a grueling, painful, and exhausting full-time job. From waking up before the sun to scrubbing rust off their armor at night, a knight's day was controlled by strict rules and hard work. Today, we are living through a day in the life of a medieval knight. Before we wake up in the freezing cold castle, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring history back to life. 1. The 4 a.m. Wake up, prayer before breakfast. Your day does not start with a warm shower and a cup of coffee. It starts in the dark. In the Middle Ages, people didn't have alarm clocks. They lived by the sound of the church bells. The first bell of the day rang for matins, morning prayer, usually around 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. God first, sword second. We often forget that knights were not just soldiers. They were religious warriors. Their power and their title came from the church. Therefore, a knight could not start his day until he had made peace with God. Imagine waking up in a stone castle in winter. The room is freezing cold. You can see your own breath in the air. You have to crawl out of your bed and kneel on the hard, cold stone floor. You must pray for at least an hour. You pray for your soul, for your king, and for forgiveness for the people you killed in battle. If a knight slept late and missed prayer, his reputation would be destroyed. The sop, breakfast. After the long prayer, the sun is finally starting to come up. It is time to break the fast. But don't expect a big English breakfast with eggs and sausages. That is for special occasions. On a normal workday, a knight ate a very light breakfast. Usually it was just a piece of bread. But because the bread was often hard and dry, they would soak it in a bowl of wine or ale, beer. This meal was called a sop. You might ask, why were they drinking alcohol at 6 a.m.? The answer is safety. In the Middle Ages, river water was often dirty and full of bacteria. Drinking water could give you dysentery and kill you. Alcohol, like weak wine or ale, was safer to drink because the fermentation process killed the germs. So the brave knight started his day cold, hungry, and with a little bit of alcohol in his system. 2. The dressing routine. You can't do it alone after breakfast. It is time to get dressed for training. If you are a modern person, getting dressed takes 5 minutes. You put on jeans and a t-shirt. For a knight, getting dressed was a complex engineering project that took hours. And the worst part, you cannot do it alone. Putting on armor is not like putting on a jacket. First, the knight puts on a gambeson. This is a thick, padded coat made of many layers of wool or linen. It is very hot and heavy. Its job is to absorb the shock of a blow. If an enemy hits you with a hammer, the metal armor stops the cut. But the gambeson stops your bones from breaking. Next comes the chainmail. This is a shirt made of thousands of tiny metal rings linked together. It is incredibly heavy. Imagine wearing a metal t-shirt that weighs 10 or 15 kilograms. You have to wiggle into it, and it presses down on your shoulders immediately. Finally, the plate armor. These are the shiny metal pieces that cover the arms, legs, and chest. These pieces cannot be put on by yourself. They have to be tied onto the body with leather straps called points. The straps are often on the back or in places you cannot reach. It was a slow, claustrophobic process. By the time the knight was fully dressed, he was carrying about 25 to 30 kilograms of extra weight. He felt like a turtle in a shell. He was already sweating, and the physical work of the day hadn't even started yet. 3. Brutal training. The quintain. The wooden enemy, the most famous and most painful training tool was the quintain. This was a simple machine used to practice lance skills on horseback. It was a wooden post stuck in the ground with a rotating arm on top. On one end of the arm was a shield, the target. On the other end hung a heavy bag of sand or a large rock. The knight had to ride his horse at full speed and hit the shield with his lance. But here's the trick: physics. When the lance hits the shield, the arm spins around violently. If the knight is too slow or rides past too leisurely, the heavy bag of sand swings around and smashes him in the back of the head. This happened all the time. Young knights were often knocked off their horses by the quinton. It was embarrassing, it was painful, and it could cause concussions. But it taught them a valuable lesson: strike hard and move fast. Weapon practice. After the horse training, they would practice sword fighting on foot, but they didn't always use real swords. They often used wasters, which were heavy wooden swords. Why use wooden swords? Because they were made to be heavier than real steel swords. The idea was simple: if you can fight for an hour with a heavy wooden club, a real sword will feel light as a feather in battle. They would wrestle, throw heavy stones to build muscle, and practice dagger fighting. They did all of this while wearing that 25-kilogram armor under the hot sun. Imagine doing a high-intensity CrossFit workout inside a sauna while wearing a winter coat. That was the daily reality. The sweat would pour down inside the armor. It caused skin rashes, it smelled terrible, and it was exhausting. But they had to do it every single day. I am getting tired just talking about this exercise. It really makes you appreciate sitting in a comfortable chair, doesn't it? If you are enjoying this look into the past, please like the video and subscribe to 5 Point Historian. We have 2 more parts of the Knight's Day to cover, and it involves a lot of paperwork. 4. The Lord's Duty. Managing the estate by noon, the physical suffering is over. The knight takes off the heaviest parts of his armor and sits down for the main meal of the day, called dinner. This was usually roasted meat, pottage, a thick vegetable stew, and more ale. The medieval manager. For the whole afternoon, the knight had to sit in the great hall and manage his business. He wasn't fighting dragons, he was counting sheep and coins. He had to meet with his steward. They would look at giant rolls of parchment paper and discuss the finances of the estate. Did the miller pay his tax this month? How much grain do we have stored for the winter? The bridge over the river is broken. Do we have the money to fix it? If a knight was bad at math or lazy, he would lose his money. And if he lost his money, he couldn't afford his expensive horses and armor. So he had to be a CEO as much as a warrior, the judge and jury. Also, the knight was the law. In the Middle Ages, there was no police force in the villages. The knight was the police, the judge, and the jury. If 2 peasants were arguing, they came to the knight. "My neighbor stole my chicken. He moved the fence onto my land." The knight had to sit there for hours, listen to these boring arguments, and decide who was right. He had to decide punishments for thieves. He had to give permission for peasants to get married. He had to settle disputes about property lines. This required a lot of patience. Movies show knights as men of action, but in reality, they spent huge amounts of time sitting in a chair, listening to people complain, and trying to solve small problems. It was mentally exhausting work. 5. The evening routine. Maintenance and fear of rust. The sun is finally going down. The castle gates are locked for the night. Is the day over? Can the knight relax? Not yet. Now comes the most important part of a soldier's life: maintenance. The enemy is rust. Iron and steel rust very easily, especially in the damp climate of Europe. A knight's armor cost a fortune. A full suit of plate armor cost the same amount as a luxury sports car costs today. It was the most valuable thing he owned. But remember the morning training? The knight sweated inside that armor for hours. Sweat is salty. Salt causes rust. If the armor rusted, the metal would become weak. If the metal was weak, an enemy sword could cut through it, and the knight would die. The cleaning process. So every evening, the armor had to be cleaned. The knight and his tired squire would take the armor apart piece by piece. They would mix olive oil with sand or vinegar to create a cleaning paste. They would scrub every inch of the metal to remove the sweat, the rain, and the dirt. Cleaning the chainmail was even harder. You can't scrub thousands of tiny rings by hand. So they had a clever trick. They would put the dirty chainmail shirt into a wooden barrel. They would fill the barrel with sand and vinegar. Then the squire would roll the barrel back and forth across the floor for an hour. The friction of the sand rubbing against the metal would polish the rings and remove the rust. Entertainment and sleep. Knights loved chess because it was a war strategy game. It taught them how to think ahead, but they wouldn't stay up late. Candles were expensive, and they were tired. Around 9 p.m., the knight would go to bed. He might sleep in the same room as his wife and children, or even with servants sleeping on the floor nearby. He would sleep on a mattress filled with straw, knowing that in just a few hours, the bells would ring at 4 a.m., and the hard work would begin all over again. So there you have it. The life of a medieval knight was not a Disney movie. It wasn't just about glory, banners, and romance. It was a life of extreme discipline. It was waking up in the freezing dark to pray on a cold stone floor. It was standing still for hours while someone tied you into a metal cage. It was getting hit in the head by sandbags. It was doing boring math and legal work for hours. And finally, it was scrubbing rust off your suit until your fingers hurt. They were the celebrities of their time, but they worked harder than almost anyone else to keep their status. It was a life of service, pain, and duty. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to 5 Point Historian. Get some rest, and I will see you in the next video.